Hello, it's Alex, the Bookubus. Today I'm going to be talking about some obscure books. And what does that mean exactly? Well, I decided to go with what Goodreads would determine as obscure. I put my read books in order of fewest amount of ratings and went from there, basically. So yeah, might not be the best way to determine that kind of thing, but it was definitely the easiest way, so that's what I did. So the books that I'm going to talk about today are ones that I have read. They are ones that have fewer than 50 ratings on Goodreads, and they are ones that I have personally rated 4 stars or higher. These are mostly horror, with one or two exceptions, and yeah, if you watch my videos you kind of already know what kind of content I'm going to be talking about. I think I have talked about all of these books at some point, probably in reading wrap-ups over the years. 1 or 2 I think I did like dedicated review videos for them. But yeah, I just thought it would be a fun little project to bring these books together for like one video to highlight them, and yeah, it's just always cool to shine a light on lesser known books. Some of these are probably lesser known because they are harder to find, so I apologise if you get really excited about one of the ones I talk about and then find that you can't get a copy online for like less than $100. I really do hate that's a thing. But yeah, there are more and more like indie publishers now that are trying to get these hard to find books in print, so you never know. And I don't normally wear my glasses in my videos, mostly because I don't need to. I usually just wear them for computer work, but I figured what better way to, establish myself as an authority on obscure books. I feel like that makes sense, right? I feel like the glasses really, lend an authenticity and, maybe make me look like I know what I'm talking about for once. So anyway, the glare is super annoying, I realise, and the sunlight is just like all over the place. It's cloudy one second and blazing sunshine the next. So apologies for the fluctuation in lighting that no doubt this video will have. And basically everything here, apart from one book, I rated 4 stars. One of them was a 5-star book. I know, amazing. So yeah, let's just kick off. And the fact that there were 13 books that basically were in this list of 50 ratings or fewer on Goodreads that fit the criteria. So I thought that was the moment when I really thought, yes, this is a great idea for a video. 13 being, it's a cool number. So we're starting off with The Voice in the Basement by T. Chris Martindale. This one has 47 ratings on Goodreads, 16 reviews, and has an average rating of 3.26. As I mentioned, I gave it 4 stars. And yeah, this is a kind of an interesting haunted house story. This is about a couple who move to a house that's in a fairly remote location, and it turns out the house might be haunted and there's something in the basement. This one, I seem to remember, did take a while to get going, but I am glad I stuck with it because it did turn into something quite interesting. There was some kind of pretty dark elements here, and there is maybe a bit of a serial killer kind of element, without spoiling anything too much. But yeah, there are ghosts and some creepy shit that happens in the basement. I thought this was really good. Yeah, as long as you are willing to kind of give it a bit of time to get established. I thought this was really good. I enjoyed his writing style. It was my first time reading this author, but I would definitely read more. Okay, next up is Burning by Jane Chambers. This one has 41 ratings, 6 reviews, and an overall average rating of 3.32. This one is kind of horror adjacent. This one has a significant historical element, and it is about witches and witchcraft. This is about a family who, I think they're on vacation in New England. They rent this historical home in this kind of remote area, and the wife hires a local woman to come in to help with the children, and something ends up developing between these two women. There is, yeah, a lesbian element to the story, and then, yeah, it's kind of got this past and present timeline where the, yeah, historical things that happened to witches in the area kind of comes back to haunt the present day. Yeah, this one was excellent. I really enjoyed the character study aspect of it, and the commentary on persecution was really well done. Yeah, it's another slow burn, but well worth tracking down. Next up is Bloody Valentine by Stephen R. George. This one has 39 ratings, 8 reviews, and an average rating of 3.49. This one doesn't have any relation to the film My Bloody Valentine, just to establish that. This is about a group of people who 5 years previously had helped the FBI construct like a kind of photo fit of a serial killer, like this, you know, non-existent kind of ultimate serial killer. And then fast forward to the present day, and it seems like this construct of their imagination has actually become real, and there are some murders that are happening, and yeah, they need to track him down before he kills again. If I'm remembering correctly, I think there was also some kind of like psychic element going on. Apologies if I'm like totally making that up. But yeah, this one is kind of a good like horror thriller crossover, and I remember it having some, yeah, really great scenes. I think it did get bogged down a little with some of the like not so interesting elements of the story, but overall I really enjoyed this one. And also, what a badass cover. Next up we have a bit of non-fiction. I know you weren't expecting that. This is Raising Hell, an encyclopedia of devil worship and satanic crime by Michael Newton. Another amazing cover, and this one has 38 ratings, 3 reviews, and a 3.42 average rating. This one I am unfortunately pretty certain is hard to find, and I was lucky enough to find this at a library book sale for like $1 or something a few years ago. Honestly, one of my best ever in the wild findings. And yeah, I don't read a ton of non-fiction, so I think it did sit on my shelf for a while before I got around to reading it, but I did pick it up at some point, and this was fascinating. I mean, if you like true crime, then you might enjoy this one if you can get a copy. This is basically broken up into some specific cases and then also kind of keywords, like grouping together similar cases, all falling within this kind of general type of thing. Yeah, some gnarly stuff here, some really dark and disturbing things, obviously. I seem to remember it did get a little repetitive just because there are some, yeah, kind of crossover where it talks about the same thing more than once. But the fact that it gathers together all of these cases of this kind of thing into one book, I thought was actually quite impressive, and just, yeah, really interesting. So yeah, not everyone's cup of tea, I'm sure, but I thought this was pretty fascinating. Next up is Liquid Diet by William Tedford. This one has 22 ratings, 5 reviews, and an average rating of 3.95. So actually pretty well rated, and I agree, I gave it 4. As you know, I've already told you that. Anyway, this is a vampire novel, and it is about a teenage girl who, I think she and her family moved to a new area, and there is this guy in the area who is very mysterious, and there are also some deaths happening around town. You know, the usual kind of putting the pieces together of maybe it's a vampire kind of situation. But yeah, I just remember really liking the vibe of this one. It had an interesting tone, and I enjoyed the writing style. Again, it's a slow burn. But yeah, this one also has, from what I remember, there is like a sexual undertone to the vampirism, in that the vampire like produces a very enjoyable effect to the victims while drinking their blood, basically. So yeah, anyway, I think I did a review video of this a million years ago, and also I feel like it had like almost a bit of a science fiction element to the vampire as well. which was interesting and yeah, just kind of set it apart from, you know, the more generic vampire novels out there. Next up is Stone Dead by Ellen Jamieson. This one has 18 ratings, 5 reviews, and a 3.67 average rating. This one, as you can tell from the cover, is a creepy doll book, and this one was absolutely bananas. It was just a bonkers story. This one is about a woman who buys this creepy antique doll, and the doll, yeah, literally starts going out and killing people. It's very silly. I seem to remember there's a couple of like love interests for the main character as well, which was somewhat problematic. And yeah, the doll stuff was just wild. This was definitely the kind of book where as long as you just go with it and be like, this is mad, but I'm gonna have fun with it, then you might enjoy it, because that's what I did. It was just very silly and not necessarily well written at all, but it was entertaining. Yeah, so Stone Dead, and another great cover. Next is The Possession of Jessica Young by Russ Martin. This one has 18 ratings, 5 reviews, and an average rating of 3.39. So this one is my first time reading this author, and I enjoyed it, but I knew that this was about characters who are able to like use mind control over people, specifically women, to make them do things for them, specifically a lot of sexual things. So I didn't know like exactly what level of problematic that was going to be, but you know, curiosity got the better of me and I wanted to read it anyway. And this was actually better than I thought it was going to be. Yes, it does have that content and some of it is obviously really messed up. But interestingly enough, it does have some strong female characters. Like the main character is, one of these people who is being targeted for this whole mind control business. And she is doing her darndest to get out of it. So I did actually really like that fact. You know, it was somewhat refreshing to see that be an element in this kind of book from this kind of era with this kind of content. So yeah, I thought this one was really good, and I would read more by this author. Next up is Baby Doll by Marilyn Knight. This one has 17 ratings, 5 reviews, and an average rating of 3.88. So we have another creepy doll book here, and I read this one just earlier this year and really enjoyed it. This one is about a teenage boy who moves into his grandmother's house, and there's a house across the street where there are some very strange goings on. The doll element of the story isn't like the biggest element, but it is present and there is a creepy doll. But it's maybe more of a haunted house kind of thing overall. But yeah, there's a teenage girl who lives in this house across the street. So yeah, it kind of focuses mostly on these two teenage characters and their friendship, which I really enjoyed. And yeah, it does have some creepy elements. It has some kind of, disturbing things as well. But overall, this was just an entertaining time that I enjoyed, and another amazing cover. Next up is Rebecca Moon by Michelle Spence, which has 16 ratings, 5 reviews, and a 3.25 average rating. Probably one of my favourite covers of all time. I just think it's awesome, and this was definitely what drew me to it in the first place, and I'm really glad I picked it up. This was another one that I think I did a dedicated review video for, but it was probably forever ago, so I'm sure it's super embarrassing. Interestingly enough, this one is another one about mind control, but this is all based on one character, the character of Rebecca, who is a teenage girl, and she has these powers to be able to influence people to do certain things, and there are all of these strange goings on in this small town that she is maybe the reason for them happening. And I think the main character is a teacher who moves to this town and starts to wonder what on earth is going on and is trying to investigate. So then it becomes a kind of cat and mouse, battle of wills, whatever, between her and Rebecca. But yeah, I remember this had some really unsettling scenes, the way that it described the mind control, that I thought were really excellently done. And yeah, it was just another kind of slow burn, small town horror, creepy stuff happening, yeah, that I really enjoyed. Yeah, I think this one is like a real hidden gem, and I will always recommend it. Okay, we've got 4 more books to go. Next up is Season of the Witch by Charlie Jacob. This one has 15 ratings, only 1 review, and an average of 4.13. So yeah, pretty well rated. I gave this one 5 stars. Yes, all the stars for Charlie Jacob. I love her so much, R.I.P. And I desperately need to get my hands on more of her work, because I want to read it all. But yeah, a lot of her books are hard to find and are expensive. So, you know, if anyone ever wants to buy me a generous gift, you know what to do. So this one, I think, came out in 2016, but I believe it was mostly written in the 1980s. And then, yeah, kind of had some changes made to update it slightly for when it was actually published. But yeah, it definitely retains that 80s vibe. So naturally, I loved it. So part of this story is about this phone line that is kind of being advertised in this particular area where the story's set, that yeah, you can call up this number and like confess your, you know, darkest desires. But yeah, there's something strange here that is maybe then influencing these people to actually act upon these things that they are thinking in their minds. And then there's also part of this story is about a kind of like urban legend book called Necromania Sexualis. So obviously this is like my favourite book ever. But this, yeah, becomes, someone finds this book basically that it was supposed to be an urban legend, but it actually exists. And yeah, anyway, I'll just read you this bit because I guess it sums it up better than my rambling. Wow, it just got really gloomy all of a sudden. That's perfect. Okay, Eddie is a police officer pulled into the darkest corners of his town, now haunted by horrifying shadows, various cults who accept extreme body modification as part of their initiation. Will he and his D-movie queen girlfriend find out just what is behind all the death and human destruction plaguing their town, or will they be sucked further into the black hole of murder, sex, and the season of the witch? If you like extreme horror, but you also like beautiful prose, then I cannot recommend Charlie Jacob enough. Okay, next up is Limbo by Jan Lara. This one has only 6 ratings, 1 review, and a 3.17 average rating. I love this cover too, and yeah, even though this is clearly a coffin, I also like can't not see it as a laptop at the same time. Anyway, so this one is a ghost story of sorts, but it's about like the ghost of an aborted child, basically. There's no really 2 ways to say that. So there you go. And this is like another small town horror where we've got, yeah, a handful of characters that we're following who all, yeah, kind of become involved in this haunting and strange goings on kind of situation that's happening. And I guess this is like a mild spoiler, but I don't know, it might actually encourage people to track this down and read it. But since this was a book that came out in the 1980s dealing with the topic of abortion, I was pretty much mentally prepared for it to be like, you know, a pro-life kind of metaphor or whatever. But thankfully it wasn't. So that was actually a pleasant surprise. And yeah, overall, I just thought it was a good, like, yeah, slow burn, quiet horror, small town horror kind of story. Okay, only 2 more books to talk about. Next up is The Reunion by L.V. Roper. This one has only 3 ratings, 0 reviews. Even I didn't write a review for this, and an average rating of 3.33. Another incredible cover. Like, I love this cover so much. And this was a random thrift store find a few years ago. I just, yeah, saw the title, saw the cover, and was immediately like, I need it in my life. This is more of a revenge thriller than like horror. This is about a group of male friends who meet every year for their reunion, like post-college reunion kind of situation. And one year something terrible happens which results in the death of a child. And basically this is about the mother out for revenge and, yeah, tracking these men down. which is absolutely my idea of a good time. And yeah, so this one just had kind of a great revenge vibe and was, yeah, kind of like a slow burn thriller, I guess you would call it, as she is, yeah, tracking these men down and doing what she feels is right for justice. So yeah, seems to be a very unknown title, but if you ever find a copy, I would recommend picking it up. And then last up is The Mirror of Night by Roberta Lannis. This one also has only 3 ratings, 0 reviews, and a 4.33 rating. And this one is a short story collection and was one that I remember, I don't know, stumbling upon at some point a handful of years ago. I don't remember how, but then I added it to my like eBay saved searches. I don't do that very often with books, but if there is a specific title that I'm really looking for, then I will do that. But this one like sat in there for such a long time before one came up at a decent price. And I, jumped on it as soon as that happened. And I'm very glad I did. This is a short story collection and it is mostly extreme horror. But again, like Charlie Jacob, it's really, really well written. It's not just like it's written by a 5-year-old. No offense to people that like that kind of thing. You do you. But yeah, personally, my preferred type of extreme horror is stuff that's like well written as well, because then it's like a win-win. But yes, this does have disturbing content. It has violence, it has sexual content. It's got all of the above basically. So it may or may not be your cup of tea. And like I said, it may or may not be a hard one to track down, but if it sounds good to you, then I would definitely recommend it. So that is it. That is a list of 13 of the most obscure books, at least according to Goodreads, that I have read and really enjoyed. So if any of them sound interesting to you, then I would recommend trying to track them down and giving them a read. And if you do, I hope you enjoy them. I just thought this would be a fun little exercise to put together such a list, and hopefully that was of interest. Thank you ever so much for watching. Thank you for sticking around all of the really annoying light fluctuations and glasses glare if you stuck around this far. But yes, thank you, and hopefully I will see you again in my next video.